Welcome to Mischief Wargaming. I'm John and this is Star Trek Alliance. While Starfleet was successful in the previous part, the Dominion's push into the Beta Quadrant cannot be stopped by Starfleet alone. Additionally, the Cardassians have thrown in their lot with the Dominion. Fortunately for Starfleet, they aren't alone in the war effort anymore, as the Klingon Empire joins. For us, this means 2 new captains are joining the campaign. But before we get to the mission, let's meet the new captains and refresh our memory about the Starfleet captains. First is Captain Evelyn Vega, returning commanding her Akira-class ship, the USS Yo. Next is Captain Jataka Lascelles in a state-of-the-art Intrepid-class starship, the USS Gooding. Now we have our new Klingon captains. Captain Kel Kerr joins, commanding the Cavort-class bird of prey, the IKS Girl. And lastly we have Captain Adak Karv, who commands a Vulture-class ship, the IKS Verkel. With 4 captains, the games will get larger, with more Dominion forces joining the battle. Speaking of which, this mission is by Inferno's light. After the Cardassians join the invading Dominion forces, they have secured the Bajoran wormhole, and the Dominion has been sending convoys of supplies and equipment from the Gamma Quadrant. A strike force made up of Starfleet and Klingon ships have been assembled to ambush the convoy. The mission objective is to destroy at least 4 of the Dominion freighters, with additional experience earned if all freighters are destroyed. Once completed, the Alliance ships have until turn 10 to leave the board from either the top or the right hand board edges. Captain Vega's Akira class is swapping out the torpedoes that barely fired from the previous games for a more phaser focused loadout. Overcharged phasers give the ship a more dangerous primary weapon, while a dorsal phaser array gives the ship a secondary weapon to attack in a shorter range from any direction. She's also equipped her ship with improved hull plating and bringing a commander. For this campaign I'm trying to remember the captains have talents, so she's using the battle plan talent. Captain Lascelles, on the other hand, is keeping her Intrepid-class ships loadout broadly the same as previous games. Photon torpedoes, a detection grid, and a science officer. Her talent is coordinated assault. With the additional Klingon ships, it's more likely to see some use. Captain Kerr's bird of prey, the Cavort class, is bringing some new toys. Klingon ships have all got cloaks, sacrificing shields for increased survivability and some maneuverability tricks. The Klingon captain has brought photon torpedoes, while his ship's thrusters have been upgraded to be more efficient. Lastly, he's got a tactical officer, and his talent is strafing run. Finally, we have Captain Karv. His Vulture-class ship has some serious firepower, in addition to the cloak. Karv's equipped his ship with a forward battery, reinforced hull, and brings a helmsman, and his talent is reckless assault. The Dominion, on the other hand, are bringing more ships than we've seen in the campaign yet. We can expect more Jem'Hadar attack ships, along with the Dominion's freighter convoy. But as the Cardassians are joining the Dominion side, expect some Gallo-class reinforcements from the Cardassians once the battle has been joined. The Dominion convoy is set up, 8 freighters in total, all trying to make a break for the opposite board edge. Our strike force is split into 2 groups, with the Yo and Gel in one corner, and the Gooding and Verkel in the other. If the mission is completed, the strike force has to escape the board from either the top or the right hand board edge. For this mission, the Dominion freighters all move first, and use a much more simplified movement chart than other Dominion ships. Each ship makes their move, and each gain a battle stations token. The two Jem'Hadar attack ships are next. The first makes a left turn, going on battle stations. While the other mirrors them, turning right and going on battle stations. The USS Yo pushes forward and uses their commander to gain the battle stations and an evade token. The IKS Skill banks to the left and activates their cloak. This disables their shields, but they gain many bonuses. The IKS Virkel, however, doesn't cloak, and instead moves up and goes on battle stations. Lastly, the USS Gooding moves up and uses their science officer to add 2 scan tokens. And the Gooding makes the first shot, using a scan token to prevent the lead freighter from rolling any defense dice, and easily dispatching the first freighter. Captain Lascelles uses her coordinated assault talent to make a copy of her remaining scan token and gives it to the Vulture. Captain Carve then makes use of it immediately, as the Virkel opens fire on another freighter. The shot causes more than enough hits to destroy the convoy vessel. The USS Yo takes aim at their own freighter target, causing enough hits thanks to their battle plan talent and spending their battle stations token, that even with an evade roll, it's enough to destroy the third freighter. Only one Jem'Hadar attack ship can get a shot, which causes the Gooding to lose some of its shields. The start of the second turn begins with some Dominion reinforcements. A pair of Jem'Hadar elites come to defend the freighters. Which all make their moves. The regular Jem'Hadar ships move, with the first moving up a little before going on battle stations. While the second banks right, taking evasive manoeuvres. The Akira also banks right, using their commander. The Cavort banks left and gains a target lock on the distant freighter. The Vulture banks left and uses their helmsman to make an additional short move. The Jem'Hadar Alpha banks left, getting a scan token as they're too far away to take a shot. The Jem'Hadar Beta, having entered the board right behind the Intrepid and the Vulture, banks to the right and goes on battle stations. The Gooding banks to the left, gaining a target lock on the nearby freighter. They then immediately spend their target lock to fire photon torpedoes at the Dominion ship. It causes enough hits to destroy the freighter, meaning the Alliance has achieved their primary objective. The Jem'Hadar Beta opens fire next as they target the Intrepid. After using their battle station's token, the Jem'Hadar causes enough damage to nearly knock out the Gooding shields. The Verghel fires at another freighter, but only causes some hull damage. The Gerhor disables their cloak as they open fire at the nearest freighter, easily destroying it. Lastly, the Yo fires at the damaged freighter, finishing it off. Turn 3 sees the arrival of more Jem'Hadar reinforcements. 2 more regular non-elite Jem'Hadar attack ships arrive from the far corner. The remaining freighters move up. The first Jem'Hadar ship turns left, going on evasive maneuvers. The second banks to the right, before also going on evasive maneuvers. The third attack ship banks to the left, gaining a scan token. While the other new arrival moves up, also gaining a scan token. The Akira moves ahead as fast as they can, using their commander. The Bird of Prey makes a K-turn. Their thruster efficiency upgrade lets Captain Kerr treat it as a regular move, allowing the ship to regain its cloak. The Verghel makes a turn to the left, using their action to re-enable their helmsman. The Jem'Hadar Alpha charges forward, going on battle stations. The Beta turns to the left, also going on battle stations. The Gooding then makes a left-handed turn of their own, gaining a target lock on the Jem'Hadar Beta. However, they open fire on one of the remaining freighters. However, the convoy ship evades the shot. The Jem'Hadar Alpha opens fire on the Vulture. However, the Klingon ship has a forward battery, which does some damage, halving the elite shields. The attack ship fires and knocks the Vulture shields down to half strength. The Beta fires on the Intrepid. They use their battle station's token to knock out the Gooding's remaining shields. The Verghel opens fire on the same freighter that the Gooding failed to damage, the Klingon ship having no trouble destroying the freighter. Lastly, the Yo opens fire on the last freighter using their dorsal phaser array. It's weaker than the primary weapon, but it's still enough to destroy the final ship of the Dominion convoy. The objective now is for the Alliance ships to escape from either the top or the right-hand board edge. But before that can happen, a pair of Cardassian reinforcements arrive. 2 Gallo-class ships enter the board. But the Jem'Hadar attack ships move first. The first turns left, going on battle stations. The second makes a right-hand turn, also going on battle stations. The third moves forward, gaining a scan token. The fourth banks right, going on battle stations. The first Cardassian Glyn moves forward, gaining a scan token. The second banks to the left, taking evasive maneuvers. The Yo pushes forward, using their commander. The Cavort moves forward too, taking evasive maneuvers. The Vorcha moves up and activates their cloak. The Alpha banks to the right, going on battle stations. The Jem'Hadar Beta goes to move forward, but needs to swerve to avoid an obstacle, banking to the right instead. Lastly, the Intrepid banks left, reloading their torpedoes. They then immediately fire them at the Jem'Hadar Beta. The shot knocks out the attack ship's shields, and the ship takes a critical hit. Their navigator is jostled. The Alpha attacks the Akira. The Jem'Hadar uses their battle station's token, while the Akira uses both tokens provided by the commander, and lose half their shields. The Yo returns fire with their dorsal phasers and destroys the Beta. With a larger 180 degree fire arc compared to the Dominion ship's 90 degrees, the first Glyn is able to target the Gel. The shot is good, but cloaked ships add a lot of extra defense dice. Combined with the evade token, the bird of prey is unharmed. The second Galore fires at the Verghel, but not before losing some of their shields thanks to the Klingons' forward batteries. The shot still finds its target, despite the cloak. The Vorcha suffers a critical hit and engine room fire. Jem'Hadar attack ships begin their attack. The first tries to target the bird of prey, but can't seem to hit them. Likewise, the next one also fails to target the girl. The final attack ship opens fire on the Gooding, which deals a significant amount of hull damage to the Intrepid. As turn 5 begins, the first Jem'Hadar ship makes a right-handed turn, taking evasive manoeuvres. The second banks to the right, also taking evasive manoeuvres. The third tries to move, but the only option is to stop and retreat backwards to avoid colliding with the asteroid. The last attack ship goes to make a K-turn, but instead has to bank to the right to avoid their own collision. The Gallo classes make their moves next. Cardassian ships gain a free target lock if there is a ship in range before moving. So the first Glynn gets a target lock on the Cavort before going to make a left-handed turn. To avoid a collision, they bank left instead. The second Glynn gets a target lock on the Gooding before making a right-handed turn. The Akira banks to the left. As they're so close to the board edge, the USS Yo escapes the battle. The Gale makes a right-handed turn. And uses the sensor echo action. They reposition, their cloak making it difficult for the Dominion ships to know their exact position. The Vulture banks to the right before using their own sensor echo. The remaining Jem'Hadar elite banks to the right, going on evasive manoeuvres. Lastly, the Intrepid makes a left-handed turn, taking evasive manoeuvres. The only shooting this turn comes from one of the Cardassian ships firing at the USS Gooding. They use their target lock to reroll all the failed dice, but the Intrepid is able to avoid the incoming shots. Turn 6 sees the last of Dominion reinforcements. The second Glynn is replaced by a Cardassian Gull elite. The first Jem'Hadar ship makes a K-turn. The second turns right, taking evasive manoeuvres. The third also turns to the right, but gains a battle stations token. The fourth goes to bank to the right, but needs to swerve to the left to avoid a collision. The remaining Glin turns left. The IKS Gale moves forward and escapes from the top board edge. The Verghel turns to the right, using their helmsman to make a short bank to the right. The Jem'Hadar Alpha goes to turn right, but instead banks to avoid a collision. The newly arrived Gull gains a target lock on the Intrepid before banking left, taking evasive manoeuvres. Lastly, the Gooding goes at full speed, gaining their own evade token. The Alpha opens fire on the Intrepid, but it's moving just too fast for them to get a hit. The Vulture deactivates their cloak and fires on a Jem'Hadar ship. They take 2 critical hits, one of which is a direct hit, which causes extra damage, which is enough to destroy a ship. Another Jem'Hadar ship fires on the decloaking Vulture, but is unable to hit them. And I made a mistake here, and I removed an extra Jem'Hadar ship, thinking it was already destroyed. The remaining 2 Jem'Hadar ships move, the first needing to swerve to avoid a collision. While the other takes evasive manoeuvres. The Glin gains a target lock on the Vulture, before banking left and gaining an evade token. Captain Carve orders his ship to charge forwards and regain cloak. The Alpha moves forward, taking evasive manoeuvres. While the Gull makes a right turn. The Intrepid moves forward, and the USS Gooding is able to escape with just 1 hull point remaining. As there's no shots to make, we're on to turn 8, and the Jem'Hadar make their moves. So does the Glin. But it's a wasted effort as the Vulture moves up and uses their sensor echo to reposition off the board, meaning the IKS Verghel escaped before the Dominion even realised. With that, the strike forces destroyed the Dominion convoy entirely, and escaped unharmed, with each captain gaining 2 experience each. Captain Vega splits the experience, one towards her captain skill, while the other to her tech level. The Akira provided a lot of firepower. In particular, I much preferred the dorsal phasers over the torpedoes for the ship. Captain Nacelle uses both of her experience to increase her tech level. The Intrepid got dangerously close to being knocked out that game, saved entirely by the ship's torpedoes and superior speed. Unlike the Akira, the Intrepid is able to fire their torpedoes behind them, making them a much more viable weapon choice. Captain Kerr uses his experience to increase his crew and weapon level. The Cavort didn't impact the game as much as I'd have hoped, but maybe with better weapon and crew options they can really start to affect things. The thruster efficiency upgrade saved a lot of hassle, letting the ship make red manoeuvres as white and still take an action, like cloaking, is a huge benefit. Lastly, Captain Carve uses both of his experience to increase his captain's skill. There isn't much in the way of new Klingon ships, but the increased captain's skill will let them move after most Dominion ships, giving them more opportunity to get into a good position and make use of that increased firepower. And that was Star Trek Alliance and By Inferno's Light. It's good to start the second part of the Dominion War. The increasing intensity of the Dominion forces and the addition of the Klingon captains should keep things interesting moving forwards. With the convoy destroyed, the steady supply of resources to Cardassia have been interrupted, but it's only a temporary setback. A more permanent solution is going to be needed, but that's for a future mission. As always, if there's any game that you'd like to see me check out, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. Take care.